Some people wanted to know why I promote Panamericanism so much. What is this concept of Panamericanism and why do I promote it? Well, the fact of the matter is, and I must say better late than never, during the time Trump was running for office, I became very well aware of the third position and how honest it was in Latin America. And I realized that we needed to move into a new era, one in which the American people from Greenland to Argentina started to recognize that we're not each other's adversaries, and that the idea that Mexico is the enemy of the United States and that Chile is the enemy of Mexico, and really I need to familiarize myself more with Latin American politics, but the concept that any of the countries of the Americas are enemies with each other is it's an illusion created by those in power. And we need to look past that. The reason why is because if they keep us at each other's throats, they can basically exploit us economically. They can exploit us in a number of ways. For example, the war on drugs. I don't believe the war on drugs is honestly being fought. If it was being fought, you wouldn't see any drugs in the United States. I think it's being used to basically, how I'll put it this way, politicians don't fix problems, because if there were no problems, politicians would be out of jobs. Why would you elect somebody if you didn't need them to fix problems? I don't think a lot of the problems are very hard to fix as far as the United States is concerned, and as far as any civilization in the whole world is concerned. These are not hard problems to fix, especially with technology getting where it is, with desalination, food security coming from hydroponics, greenhouses, all these things. You don't need to have such large-scale suffering, which is caused by what I would call globalist capitalism, which is being used to oppress the people and get rich off of them. So my idea was to start operating under a way to start showing people in Latin America, hey, we're not your enemies. Unfortunately, the problem is a lot of the people drawn to the third position are also white supremacists that do not understand the reality of racial hybridization, or the fact that, the indigenous people of the Americas and the Hispanic people are not only their equals, but that in practicing something called post-racial eugenics, which is a term I came up with, which is really just eugenics, to select for better traits, we can actually make the race an American race, a Pan-American race, and a superior race at that. Now, if you move on to, and I won't get into this, but if you start moving into things like CRISPR, Cas9, and these new technologies, gene editing and all that, you can really get something going really good. But for this to happen, we need to see laws change. We need to see things happen at the leadership levels. This can't happen. So what we need is a revolution of the individual, a revolution, and I hate to sound like a hippie, but a revolution of the recognition for there to be a Pax Americana, for there to be peace throughout the Americas, coming from the individual, not the group. You have to keep in mind that a group is a group of individuals, and it goes up in higher degrees from there. So what I'm trying to explain is the reason I support Pan-Americanism instead of fascism per se, or National Socialism per se. I didn't support National Socialism for over a decade now. And the reason why is because National Socialism is unworkable to any concept of the United States. But now that I'm starting to see the need for a Pan-American unity, if not by the countries, then by the people, and a demand for freedom of association of all law-abiding Americans, and a recognition of our mutually agreed upon borders, respect for the borders, respect for the laws of the various countries, and of course, a recognition by all Americans that we are not the enemies of one another. I started getting away from the concepts of National Socialism. I started using the word fascism to mean what it really is, the fasci, togetherness, how we are stronger together. If we stick together, if the Americas actually do unite on an individual to individual level, we are stronger than Europe, we are stronger than Asia, we are stronger than these other continents. Europe and Asia are really the only ones to worry about. But the concept that I'm trying to promote here is we left America for a damn good, I mean, we left Europe for a damn good reason, our ancestors did. And we created the various American nations, which are far superior to Europe, especially considering you have to look at it this way. In the Americas, what we created, what our ancestors, not us of course, but what our ancestors created, took place in a matter of decades, not centuries, not millennia. We came here from Europe, especially in North America, because in South America, the natives, a good portion of the natives worked hand in hand with the conquering Spaniards. But in North America, where the Germans and the English and the Irish, we had to subdue the indigenous people. We then took care of the indigenous people, and while doing all this, we were shaped through natural selection by warring with the indigenous people, and we created nations far superior to those of Europe in a far shorter time. In less than 1/10 the time, we created thriving metropolises and beautiful rural areas and everything else. America is superior, and by America, I mean all of America, from Greenland to Argentina. We are superior to Europe. We are not merely a continuation of European values. We are the apex of human civilization, if we so choose to make it so.